Paul is, in short, the king of comedy, and Emma is, in short, the queen of hearts. And you put the two together, and they could be pulling each other in different directions. But Paul knows what this story is, and Emma wrote it with this charm and love and humour, and she wants to maintain that authenticity, and Paul wants that too. But equally, Emma doesn't want to write a joke and not have that joke land or even be enhanced. So the two of them together, it really is checks and balances. It's like yin and yang. For me, the opportunity to even get somewhere near any of his work, let alone anything that nobody's heard, and let alone, his great classic or Wham's great classic, it's such an opportunity. And it really, it means something that we've been given the crown jewels to play with. And it absolutely means something that we've taken it seriously and recognized the responsibility of dealing with this great artist's work, and with Wham's work and with this song. So it's a thrill, it's a thrill for us to do it, and it's a challenge to do it well. And that's what we set out to do, and hopefully people that view it will feel that way. Emma is somebody that completely cares about every aspect of the production and everybody on the production. So if you're talking about background artists, she's down there checking that they're all happy and that they've had enough to eat and that they're warm enough. If you're talking about actors that only have smaller roles, she will, without any shadow of a doubt, know every single person's name. She will have engaged with them. She will, if she's met them once, she'll go and see them again later. She never leaves anybody behind, if you like. And that is absolutely the sign of a great producer and a great collaborator and creator.
Last Christmas is the story of a young girl in London who's a little bit confused, a little bit lost, a little bit kind of anchorless. And we can't really see the reason for it because she's pretty, she's a smart cookie and rather funny and incredibly attractive and very talented. And you kind of can't figure out what it is that keeps making her mess up. And as the story develops, you start to see that her journey from where she's come from to where she is today is a little bit turbulent. There are a few kind of boulders in the way of her progression as a human being on planet Earth. And she meets this guy, as you do, and he brings a new perspective to her life. Henry Golding plays Tom, and together they combine to be the most beautiful human. Henry's amazing. He's just brilliant. And the relationship that Kate has with Tom is... It's that classic kind of meet cute, and that it's not like love at first sight. It's not that kind of instant... let's run off into the sunset and get married. They're butting heads a little bit in that classic, like, hark back to the kind of Spencer Tracy, Katharine Hepburn days. So they've got a good rapport, and it's very sort of witty. It's a very honest sort of playground flirting in the beginning. And Henry's just so open as an actor and so generous and so kind and funny. Santa, played by the incredible Michelle Wu, she is my boss, who is kind of sort of a kind of sly, sarcastic, ironic fairy godmother. In a weird way, she's looking out for Kate, but not letting her get away with anything. It's a sort of tough love, funny relationship, for sure. Paul Feig, our director. He's just that... you can't even begin to describe how incredibly kind, gracious, lovely, wonderful, talented, intelligent, sweet human being. He's just so nice. It's humbling. It literally, you wake up in a bad mood and you're like, no, what would Paul do? Paul would not be in a bad mood. He would be happy, and he'd make everyone feel welcome, and just the nicest, the best. And he knows comedy. Oh, he knows comedy, and that's been a delight for me to get to lean into some slapstick. It's Em's writing. She understands the complexity of human nature better than anyone. And we have that in our movie. It's just celebrating the mess, celebrating the messy bits, celebrating the kind of uncertainties and the scary moments and the kind of and the beauty that's in that, and the beauty that's in being a human being that doesn't always get it right. And that's just kind of lovely, you know. It's sort of, that's what's so heartening. George Michael wrote Last Christmas, and we've not stopped singing it. Anyone who's watching this movie will not stop singing it. But we are incredibly lucky to be able to have some of his music in this movie of ours, which is pretty lucky and pretty amazing. It's been fun. It's been fun for me to get to add that little layer in. I never thought in a million years I'd be able to do a movie where I got to sing and do a bit of comedy. So it's kind of a dream come true being able to do it.
Emilia and Henry are magical people, beautiful, kind, and consistently wonderful to be with. You know, how often can you say that about two movie stars on a set? We see her just in her angry, rather self-absorbed world, and yet there's something that we really like about her because she's funny. Em opens her mouth and just has this fantastic, ridiculously attractive, beautiful timbre, this wonderful singing voice, which again we didn't know. And like I say, the film was waiting for her. And so she sings so beautifully and with such heart, you know. So it's incredibly moving, and so everything you hear is her, is Em. We were very lucky. We've been so lucky because we've shot in the most extraordinary places. You wouldn't normally get to shoot in places like Covent Garden, and it's difficult on Regent Street. You know, you just don't get permission. Not from the council, from London. It's very hard. So I reckon that London will kind of look extraordinary because of the places we've been allowed to shoot. And it was absolutely magical. I mean, it was magical. Paul immediately saw Michelle, and I was thrilled because I think she's the most fantastic actor, but I don't know whether I've ever seen her do this. And he said, "Oh no, she's so funny." I said, "We have to see that." Thematically, really, it's about how to use your heart, how to live, really. How to love yourself, how to take responsibility for yourself. It's just not often achieved.
Kate is a wonderful character who is a little bit lost in life. She hasn't found herself. So she's bumbling around in London, not really knowing what she wants to do. She works in a Christmas shop run by the very colourful Michelle Yeoh, Santa. And she is occupied pretty much the whole time on her phone. She leads a very, very strange sort of life. And she comes across a character by the name of Tom, who is almost the opposite. He tends not to be enthralled on Facebook or the internet, and he's out there in the open. He's walking around, and he's trying to get her to kind of come out of her shell and be the person that he really sees her to be. And so they go on a few adventures around London, and she blossoms. He lives in his own little world where he's not sort of locked in and anchored by something that fits in the palm of your hand, that's connected to the rest of the world. He's very present. And the most joyous thing that he finds doing is just walking around London, just looking up, looking at the architecture, looking at the history, And he tries to share that with as many people as possible. So he's like this breath of fresh air. She has this spark to her that is, you know, you see it in her eyes, and it's just wonderful to be able to play out these beautiful scenes. They're funny, they're heartfelt, they're moving, and we get to share this wonderful little journey of Kate and Tom's together. I could not ask for a better human to share that with. It was just wonderful being in London. You know, I had lived in London 10 years ago, over in the East End, so to explore sort of this way, it was really magical. You almost sort of pinch yourself, just like, am I really in the middle of like Leicester Square, riding my bicycle, filming, Piccadilly Circus, and, you know, around Covent Garden? It really is a postcard to how beautiful London is. Christmas in London is magical. I mean, it really, people go all out, and there is a festive spirit. It's weird to say, some places, you know, there's Christmas, but you don't have that festive spirit. And Paul, John Schwartzman, Emma, they've all been able to encapsulate the best parts of Christmas and kind of splattered it onto this canvas, which is our little movie. It's kind of a love-hate relationship. Santa is thoroughly annoyed at how lackadaisical and useless her little elf is, but she does love her. You know, you can see that there's like this almost a motherly bond with her. Like, whatever happens, she's always gonna like, fine, you're unfired, or, you know, fine, you can still work for us. And I think, you know, it's vice versa. Kate sees Santa as somewhat of her only friend in a weird way, someone to kind of semi-confide in. So Michelle and Emilia play that wonderfully. This film has so much heart in it, and there's such a beautiful story. There's a joyful kind of real love to it. And you match that with Emma Thompson's sort of experience, George Michael's beautiful music, Emilia's amazing acting, my little bit in it. You know, there's so many moving parts to this, but Paul is the one who orchestrates everything. It puts it all together, and it's just like, right, how do we make this the best film that we possibly can? And he has this amazing sense of humor that he brings to his movies, and that has definitely translated to Last Christmas.
This is Emilia as audiences have not seen her before. And she, you know, she always brings such gravitas to any role that she does, but this allows her to really be funny and warm, and I think invite people in a way that she has not necessarily done with other roles in the past. Emma is fabulous. I mean, I think anybody watching this and just wherever would know that. She's an incredibly talented writer. The script is really, I mean, it's a beautiful script. And she is a truly fun, kind human being, so considerate of everybody around her, and just really pays attention to every aspect of the human condition, and that feels apparent in every bit of her work, from the acting to the writing and to the producing as well. I mean, there's a tremendous amount of care there. One of the beautiful things about the script is it is funny and fun and romantic, and it's not just about, like, you know, these sort of themes of how to be your better self and how to appreciate things. Obviously, those are very much woven into what's happening over the course of the story, but the story is big and bold and exciting and fun on its own, and then those sort of are, you know, they're undercurrents in a way that I think really works, but doesn't feel like it's hitting you in the face with a message.
She's a quirky little character. She's very single-minded, you know, devoted to making her money, making the things come together for her life. So she has no time for anything else. But she does have a soft spot for Katrina, Kate, who I call Elf. But this elf is really naughty. I mean, she can get lazy and forgetful and doesn't take responsibility for anything, but she can sell things off the shelf like nobody's business. So she keeps her elf around. Oh my God, she is the most incredible. I mean, there are a few women, actress, writer, producer, and Emma is right there at the top of the list, and I've always wanted to work with her. I was blown away by this very dapper man, and I discovered he wears a suit all the time. I was like, what director does that? I guess Paul Feig does. So he's so charming and warm, and he makes things very easy. So it's nice. It really is. There's so many ways of love, whether it's from family, from friends, unrequited love, love you hope for. But I think at the end of the day, it's love for yourself. Because if you don't start loving yourself, it's very hard to love somebody else or understand what is the true meaning of that. So I think with Last Christmas, it is a beautiful story about that. What is unique? It's got Emma Thompson, Henry Golding, Emilia Clarke, and Michelle Yeoh all on the same screen. My God, that's already unique. It's quite an eclectic group, I must say. I would watch it. We were shooting the poster. You take a look at it and you go, I really want to see how this turns out.
Everything about this script checked everything I've ever wanted to do. I mean, I love working in genres. I haven't really done a romantic comedy. I mean, Bridesmaids in a way is that, but that's really more of a female friendship story. This was like more of a romantic film, but it was also, as Emma calls it, a dramatic romantic comedy. So it's funny, but it's got so much emotion that it's like a big emotional epic in a weird way. It's about this young woman, Kate, who we first meet when she's about 10 years old, singing in a church, beautiful voice, promising future, little angel. Then we meet her in her late 20s immediately, and she's the opposite, just an absolute wreck. Still looks like an angel, but with a lot more makeup, and getting into bad situations, and everyone in her life has kind of lost patience with her and is ready to give up. And into her life comes Tom, this sort of strange, wonderful guy who just can't stop following her around and is just fascinated by her and wants to be with her, and she can't take it, but he wears her down, basically, and through this relationship, they start to learn about each other, and Kate starts to rediscover who she is and really get her self-respect back and get her confidence back. Kate's a really interesting role because she's a very frustrating character. When you first meet her, other than when she's a little girl, she's a mess. But because of that, you have to have somebody that you will stay with as an audience. And so they need to be charming, and there needs to be something about them where you're like, I'm frustrated with you, but I like you. There's something about you I like. And Emilia Clarke, there's nobody as likable as Emilia Clarke. It's crazy. She can bring that lovable quality to it where you'll be frustrated, but you're just going to stay with her. And what has been nice for me is, she doesn't normally get to play comedic. She was great in Me Before You, and she had comedic moments in that, but this is where she's really getting to show a full range of comedy, but in the way that I like to do comedy, where it's grounded in reality, and it's a real character, and we don't sacrifice character for jokes. The comedy comes from the character traits and the behavior and the way they interact with the world. And every day on this set, Emilia just completely blows us away. We're always just like, oh my God, she's so good. Tom is this creature out of another era. I mean, it's literally he's walked out of sort of like a 1930s, 40s musical. He's light on his feet. He's got this kind of joie de vivre. He sees the world through rose-colored glasses. He's always telling her to look up, and he's the guy that sees things that the rest of us going through our day, looking at our phones and being worried about what we're doing, don't see. And he really is teaching Kate to get out of her own head and to appreciate the world around her. And then on top of it, he works at a homeless shelter, and he brings her there to try to get her involved in that. And then he ends up doing that, and her work with them starts to save her and help get her out of her own head and start to see the world around her. I want to show that funny, fun, loose, charming side of Henry. And so when I'm reading this Tom role, it's like, that's it, because Henry can just bring all those qualities of himself. It takes place in London, and it's about London. I've been desperate to shoot a movie in London forever. And I thought just to shoot a movie here, not even playing that it's London, but then have this script that's like a love letter to London that I can do everything I've ever wanted to do in a movie about London. Show off all the London that I know, show areas that people don't know, and really just make it all about this amazing city that's such a great, diverse melting pot. A great Christmas movie should be about love and family and redemption and just happiness, really. And what's great about this film is it runs the gamut of so many emotions, because it's so emotional in places, but it's really funny in other places, and it's very charming, and it's beautiful. I mean, John Schwartzman is shooting this movie like you've never seen before, making London just look so gorgeous. London's a city I just have such a love for and have my whole life. My mother's side of the family was British, so I wanted to show off London the way that I see it and the way that I love it. And so all these elements go together to just create this fully immersive, emotional experience that is what I think to be the ultimate Christmas tale. Emma is the greatest partner you could ever have making a movie, and especially a movie that she wrote, because this is something that she's been working on and developing for 8 years. Knowing that the person who is going to be sitting next to me, and I said to her, I want you on set with me every single day next to me. I don't want you ever not to be there, because this is your baby. You wrote this script, you know it. And just why would you not be there? And she wanted to be too, because she also, wants to move into directing, and she should. I mean, the next movie she does that she writes, she should really direct, because you can just tell she's ready to do it. When Emma has a thought or a note or something she wants or something that you don't see, you just go, you realize you're in the presence of a master, because, she knows what she wants. But she's so collaborative, and we've just had the greatest time.